So I was thinking what sort of movie I could review for this Sunday's movie discussion. And the past few movies I've done have been sci-fi. And as I was thinking what sort of movie I could do, I noticed that a lot of the movies that I watch are somewhat sci-fi or have a sci-fi element. Like Looper, it isn't too much of a sci-fi, but at the same time, obviously, it is because it's got time travel and the TK, but it's very grounded. And then you could say the same thing about the Terminator, which is the other movie that I reviewed. You know, it's obviously it's based in on the Earth in the 80s, but then obviously there's a Terminator which doesn't exist, and the whole element of time travel which doesn't exist. So I thought I'd get away from the sci-fi element of the movies, and that's why I'm going to be reviewing today the Shawshank Redemption. This is like the movie that I thought of, which is like the furthest thing away from sci-fi. This is obviously a movie that came out in the early 90s, I think. And a funny thing about this movie is the first couple of times I ever saw the Shaw, the Shawshank Redemption. It's a bit of a tongue twister to say. But the first time I ever saw this movie, the first couple of times in fact, I never saw the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. And in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, you basically learn, and obviously these reviews are going to be like, these discussions are going to be spoiler filled, really. But within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, you find out that Andy didn't actually commit the crime that he's accused of, murdering his wife and the person she was having an affair with. We see him basically not doing it. You know, he drives away, and then we get the court case. And this is basically where I have always caught the film, which is when he's like going into the prison. So I always used to watch the Shawshank Redemption thinking like, oh, didn't he kill her? Up until the point where it's revealed that no, he didn't, because the guy who did it, you know, he confessed to the other guy. If you've seen the movie, you obviously know what I'm on about. But this is it's obviously it's a great prison movie. I don't know if there are many prison movies. I'm trying to think which of ones they are. Of people actually locked in prison. I can't actually think of one off the top of my head, so if you do know any other good prison movies, put them down below. I know The Rock takes place on Alcatraz Island, which is a prison, but I wouldn't say it's a prison movie where there are actual prisoners and stuff. But so yeah, leave me a comment down below of a good prison movie. But I'd say this is a good depiction of what prison was like in the time. And you know, it's obviously a story by Stephen King, who happens to be my favourite novelist or book writer, or however you'd say it, which is probably like the typical everyone says Stephen King's the favourite, but I'd say I've read most of his books. I've never read The Shawshank, so I couldn't compare it to the book, but I know it's a good movie, and it's one of those movies where I can come in any time in that movie, whether it's half an hour from the end, half an hour from the beginning, and I can sit down and I can watch it because, you know, it's just one of those movies. It's got one of the best voiceovers by Morgan Freeman. It's probably one of his best movies, in my mind anyway, and I'd say in a lot of people's actually. Everyone knows him from this movie. The other guy, he never really went on to do much from this movie, which I don't know whether it's surprising or not. I suppose he was kind of middle-aged man when he made this movie, but yeah, he never really broke off and did anything too major, I don't think. You've got the warden, he went on obviously to do things like Krusty Krab, and he pops up everywhere. He's got that real iconic voice. He's Lex Luthor in the Superman cartoons and Justice League. And I think he still even does it now, but he's got a great Lex Luthor voice. He'd probably make a good live action Lex Luthor, like an older version. It'd definitely be better than the latest Lex. Yeah, this movie, it's just good on all levels. Like, I remember the first time I watched it, because obviously there's the twist at the end of like how did he get out, and then all of a sudden you find out that he'd been digging a tunnel in his cell the whole time. And you know, it's just a pretty crazy movie in that, because you don't really expect it, especially the first time round. So it's one of those movies where the first time you watch it, obviously you really enjoy it, but the second time you enjoy it even more, because you're like looking for little tidbits here and there. And you've got some real iconic characters in this movie as well. You know, you've got Andy, the main guy, who's like the innocent man who's in prison for a crime he didn't commit. You've got Red, the guy who can get you anything. The old guy who gets let out of prison and he can't adjust. You've got the warden, is it? The guy who plays Krusty Krab. You know, he's like the typical mean warden. You've got the rapists. You know, some real, I don't know if it'd be like cliche characters really, or whether this made the cliche of all these, or maybe this is just what prison's like. I mean, like I was saying earlier, this is probably a good depiction of what prison was like in the time, because obviously I think it's set in the, well, I'm not sure when it's set, but it's set a long time ago, I know that. I think that's one of the good things about this movie is that it does give you that look into what prison's like. Obviously, I've never been to prison and I never plan on going, but it's like an interesting place, you know. It's the unknown and the fear of the unknown. I follow a lot. Well, I follow a particular YouTube channel talking about prison, After Prison Show, and that's like the similar sort of thing. He's giving you his insight to prison, and I think that's what this movie does. It gives you an insight to prison, which obviously, if they want movies about prison and you've never been to prison, really you'd have no like sort of experience of what it's like in there. So that's another reason why this movie is good. It gives you that good look into prison. A lot of people would probably consider this movie like a masterpiece, and in a lot of ways it is. It's a lot of combinations of things all coming together. You know, the guy who plays Andy, he isn't the, he didn't go on to be the biggest actor, and I'm not sure whether he was exactly one of the biggest actors before. I mean, I know he went mainstream, but you know, he's obviously great in this. Morgan Freeman's great in it. Um, Obviously, the story's great from Stephen King. I'm not too sure who directed this, but I don't think it's anyone who's particularly gone on to do like big movies that you know. I don't think. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, a lot of things just all came in place, and we got a really good movie. So let me know what you guys think of the Shawshank. I must have watched this movie when I was young. I was like every classic movie like The Terminator and Shawshank. I watched these movies when between like the age of like 6 and 10. So I was young the first time when I watched this, but even now to this day, I'm 25 now, and it's still a movie that I can just put on at any time. Say if it's on Netflix, and you know, I usually, when it is on Netflix, I usually put it on to go to sleep to, and then I end up getting engrossed in it, and I'm watching it till like 1 in the morning. So it's one of those sort of films. It's a good one. But let me know what you guys think of it anyway, and if there's any other movie that you'd like me to give a brief review or discussion on, leave a comment down below. Like I say, this is something I plan on doing every Sunday now going forward. So if you've got any ideas, just let me know down below. See you next time.